Alright, this is meant to be a complete Project Hyperion guide aimed to get you through your first solo run of Project Hyperion. I will cover what to bring, how to do all the key objectives, and also show you where to get this full set of armor. Alright, first things first. So to access the Project Hyperion contract, you're going to go to your investigation tab in contracts. You should see Project Hyperion listed there. If you don't see it, that means you haven't unlocked it yet, and you got to do other investigation missions by Hawkrow Agency. That will eventually unlock Project Hyperion for you. When you accept Project Hyperion, it's going to send you to an Onyx facility. Most of the time, it's going to be a different facility every time you do this mission, so just be mindful of that. Just to show you guys, this is how the facility looks. It's got two hangars. You're going to hail the hangar just like you hail any other hangar in the game. Let's talk about what you're going to want to bring for this mission. You want to bring a weapon of your choice, a sniper rifle, obviously med pens or med gun. But you also want to bring deco pens. There is a lot of radiation in the first part of this mission that you're going to have to deal with. If you're not careful, you can die from radiation. Bring loads of ammo, and then obviously bring your multi-tool with all three attachments. You're going to need the salvaging one, you're going to need the mining one, and you are going to need the tractor beam attachment. Let's get started with the mission. So from the hangar, you're going to run through to the elevator. The way the Onyx facility is set up is that there are two wings, the engineering wing and the research wing. To complete Project Hyperion, you're going to be doing both wings. The mission tells you exactly where you need to go. We are going to be going to the engineering wing because that is what the mission says to do right now. So here we are in the engineering wing now. The one thing I wanted to show you guys is this fabricator right here that allows you to craft your pyro tool as well as all the attachments. Now I'm going to speed through the next part because you're just looting a few containers and killing two enemies. Not much going on, just make sure you take a look at the containers, maybe there's something in there of value to you. Once you get here, this wasn't the case for me, but typically there could be pillars here that you need to use your mining attachment to destroy, so just be mindful of that. So now once you've jumped over here and killed the two enemies that spawn behind you, we start getting into the puzzle part of this section. So in this area you have to repair 3 of these pipes. You're going to see me repairing them using the salvaging tool. You just right click and repair until the light goes green. Once the light is green, that pipe is done. There are 3 of these pipes, so now I'm making my way to the second one over here. So we're going to repair this and make our way to the third one after that. So as soon as the light goes green, we're going to head over to the other side of the platform. Do be mindful that enemies respawn over top there as soon as you start repairing. So I started repairing and there they are, so you got to kill those 2 and then get over and repair this pipe. Now once this pipe is repaired, you have to use your mining attachment and destroy these pillars. So there are 3 of these pipes that are blocked by 3 pillars each. You need to use the mining attachment to destroy them. Just point your beam at them until they turn red and move on to the next one and they will blow up. My recommendation is go to each pipe, destroy the pillars first before we flip the switches. So that's what I'm going to do. So once all these pipes are taken care of, you'll have to flip the 3 switches that were next to each of these pipes, and then that can progress the mission because you will be able to download the data that you're looking to download. The reason you want to destroy the pillars before pulling the switches is because there is a bit of a timer on this. If you're not fast enough, the pipes reopen and the pillars reappear. So destroy the pillars, then pull the 3 switches that you need to pull in quick succession. Once you've pulled all the switches, you just need to click download data on any of the nearby terminals to progress the mission. Now your objective has updated and you've got to proceed to the next part, which is up the stairs. Once you get up the stairs, that's when you have to start being mindful of the radiation blasts that you see right there. Taking one once in a while and letting your suit recover is fine, but if you take too many, you're going to start taking some serious damage. Also, now is a good point to transition to your tractor beam, because that's what you're going to be needing next. So for this next puzzle, there are these tanks in the center that you have to put batteries in. One battery is near one of the tanks, but you have to grab these other two from the side like I'm doing right now. So you're going to grab these batteries. Now, unfortunately, this is a time where you're probably going to get hit with a blast, but that's fine. The other thing is that one of these giant Valakar enemies is going to spawn right in the center and you have to take it out. You could also do it before you grab the batteries, totally up to you. As soon as you get near the tanks, he will show up. So he's pretty easy to take down. Just make sure you shoot him a few times. He goes down. He's not as dangerous as he looks. Once he's down, we're going to place these batteries in the tanks. You just use your tractor beam and move the batteries close to them and they snap right in. Once the batteries are in, you just need to go to the marked terminal right in front of you and hit the prompt on the screen. Now we're going to run to this side, and there's a couple of rooms filled with enemies, so we're just going to clear the enemies, run upstairs, and hit the prompt on the screen upstairs. Once we hit the prompt on this screen, we're just going to move through the corridor right there. Two guys do show up, so just be mindful of that. And the one thing I want to show you guys here is there is another fabricator right there, but this one allows you to fabricate a med gun and med pens, as well as, most importantly, the deco pen. So if you forgot to bring any of those, make sure you craft those over there. Now we're just going to run downstairs and basically through a small pathway that gets us to the next main area where there is a bit of a puzzle that we have to take care of. There are 3 enemies that kind of spawn during our approach to that area, so just take them out. Obviously be mindful of the blasts, make sure you try to avoid them. Alright, here we are at the next area. So for this area, you're actually going to need all 3 of your multi-tool attachments. So we'll start with the mining and the salvaging one. The first thing you want to do is wait for the blast, because there's going to be one coming, so always wait for that to happen before you move on. Once the blast happens, you're going to go and repair a pipe which is up to the top over here. You just climb over those boxes, climb over here, repair this pipe. As soon as the light turns green, just jump back down and hide behind this wall over here. Now we want to change to our mining attachment, because we need to put a plasma fuel cell inside that machine, but the pillars are blocking our path. So again, I'm just waiting for the blast, and again, wait for these blasts. You really don't want to take multiple radiation hits. So now that the blast has happened, I'm going to run out, quickly attack these pillars, make sure they turn red. As soon as one pillar turns red, you could just move on to the next one because it destroys itself. And then once that's done, you're gonna hide here, and this is the plasma fuel cell we're gonna be picking up and putting in that machine over there. Again, just waiting for the blast to happen. As soon as the blast happens, just use your tractor beam, move the plasma fuel cell close enough, and you will see it snap right in. Now the one thing about this plasma cell, it's not typically just lying where I found it. You actually have to come hit this switch and it spawns right over there, and you have to tractor beam it up from there. So just waiting for another blast to happen. As soon as the blast happens, we will see the terminal right next to us. We have to hit the prompt on that terminal, and then basically where we repaired the pipe is where we're going to jump back over to the other side of this platform. Now as you approach the next room, just be mindful there are a lot of enemies in there and there's radiation in the room, so you want to try to take as many of them out as you can from standing outside and then kind of run through the room. You don't want to be in the room for too long. You can loot, but just don't be there for too long because you are taking radiation. Once the room has been dealt with and you've made it to the other side, just take note of this hole in the ground over here, because we're about to come up to a jumping puzzle, and if you sort of miss some of your jumps, you're gonna have to come back down and out back through this hole and try again. So here we are, we gotta jump through a couple of these. It's not too difficult, just make sure you're hitting spacebar as you're jumping, because sometimes if your character's falling through, it'll end up grabbing on the ledge and help you from falling. So once you've made it through, you're pretty much close to the end of the engineering section of this run, and the next room can be pretty challenging, but I'll explain everything you need to know. So we're going to be taking this elevator to the power core, and while we're on this elevator, I'll explain everything you need to know. So for this next room, it's actually an anti-gravity room, and you're closest to the radiation blast. This is where the radiation blasts actually originate. There's going to be 6 platforms in the room. They're labeled 1 to 6, and some of them are above you, some of them are below you, and each of them have about 3 to 4 enemies on them. The idea is you want to clear out all the platforms first, because there is a switch on each platform that you're going to have to hit. The best way to do it is just clear all the platforms first, then go in order from 1 to 6, hit all the switches before you try to collect the reagent code. So that's what you're going to see me do here. Basically be mindful of the blast, try to hide behind something when a blast is coming, and then try to sneak out, take out enemies, and repeat that process until you've cleared all the platforms. And then again, just go back to numbers 1 to 6 and hit the switches in that order. So I'm going to speed up this next part because it is quite lengthy, and I'll probably cut some parts of it out. But basically, as a solo player, you want to take it slow, you want to be mindful of the blasts, and just slowly clear each platform from a distance and not die. That's your main goal here. You don't want to die. This is also the most likely area for a new player to sort of die. So let me cut through some of these parts, and I will show you the last switch so you know what switch I'm talking about, but there is one on each platform. So here's the switch that I'm talking about. There's one at the center of each platform. At this point, I have cleared all 6 platforms and I'm hitting the final switch. Just be mindful that enemies do respawn, so that guy had respawned. Now I'm gonna hide here for the next blast, and now I can go and collect the reagent code, and I'll show you guys how to do that. But basically, you're most likely going to take a radiation hit while you're doing this process, so you have to fly to one of these 3 marked locations. I would just go to the closest one unless you're really trying to get a specific combination of these done. You fly here, and there's actually a switch connected to these things. So first you have to go and hit the prompt on that screen, and it can be a little clunky while you're in EVA. So you hit that, and then you go to the marked location. I'm trying to hide from the blast here, but it doesn't really help me. So I still took that hit, but doesn't matter, I have enough power on my suit. So now you go to the marked location and hit download, and you're finally done with the engineering section. And you'll notice that your mission has updated to go to the research wing. So to escape from this area, you'll see a big ASD logo on the wall somewhere, and that's your exit point. You're basically going to EVA all the way over to that, and there is a door that you can sort of walk through, and then you're out of this section. So now that you're finally out of that section, there's no more enemies now until you get to the research wing, but there are some loot containers here. You're very likely to get the Geist armor here, including the ASD versions of that, so make sure you check these orange containers. There's 3 of these containers here. This is the first one in the room. The other one is right outside. Once you go around, here's the next container. And again, you want to check all 3 of these because they could have the ASD Geist armor for you. Again, this one didn't have any, and then the last one is right here. So once you've checked all 3 of these containers, you can pretty much get out of this engineering section and we're gonna make our way to the research wing. So I'm gonna speed up until we get to the research wing. Alright, you've now made it through the lobby and into the research wing. So again, this area, personally, I find it a little bit easier than the engineering wing. The later areas when we get to Site B do get a little bit more challenging, but the research wing is not that hard to take care of, and I'll show you guys how to do that. So right now your mission is broken up into 3 parts, but you only actually have to do one of these. I will show you the fastest one that you can do to complete this mission, which is the test chamber data. So to do that mission, we're gonna run down this path, clear the 3 enemies, and then jump down the elevator, and once we're there, I'll slow down and talk you guys through the next steps. So here we are, we're gonna jump down this elevator down here. There are 2 paths depending on which of the catalyst codes you want to do. I like taking this one because this is the fastest one to get to the test chamber data, and it's actually really straightforward. So you come down here and we're gonna take a right out of here and basically just go through this door over here. There should be only 1 enemy that you have to deal with right in front of you. Take him out and then go straight and turn right. Now the test chamber data is on this floor, so you don't even have to go anywhere else. You're just gonna cross over to the other side and you'll know you're on the right floor because you'll see this half closed garage door, and basically you get into this room. You can loot the containers if you want, but the idea is to sort of prone under this next door next to you. So you're just gonna go under this, and now you're already in the test chamber. Now what you need to do here is there is some radiation in there, nothing that's really going to kill you, but you do need to get all the way over there and press a button on that individual's device in his hand, and that progresses the mission. So you click stabilize and you sort of run in there. Try to be very careful because it is challenging when you're in EVA. You could go too far and get radiated and knocked out. Again, if you do get knocked out, it's only temporary and you sort of wake back up again, so nothing too crazy. Obviously, if you stay there for too long, you could die, but that's it. You've done one of the 3 catalysts that you had to do, and now we make our way to Site B. It's very easy to get to Site B, but before we do that, just wanted to show you guys there is like a room here with some really good loot. You may want to check out some weapons and armor, so you just go up here and fall through here, and now there is a couple of crates in here that you may want to take a look at and some guns you may want to grab. So I'm going to speed up this section. Alright, so now that we're out of that room, we gotta go to Site B. The way you get there is actually jumping all the way down. So you're on the yellow floor right now. You're just gonna run straight across, don't need to jump, just run, and you'll fall down 1 floor below. And we're gonna do the same thing and fall down to the blue floor. The one thing to note about the blue floor is this is where the exit is. So if you felt like you needed to run out of here, you don't have time, or for some other reason you've got to leave this area, that's the transit lobby. So we're going to jump down all the way down to the red floor. Now we're at the bottom of this area. There are some enemies here that you want to deal with, but the biggest problem you're going to run into here is a lot of these radiated dogs that run towards you. Now the best way to fight these dogs is if you climb on any of these crates, the dogs cannot attack you. However, the game has been updated that the dogs don't start running towards you if you've sort of climbed up a platform. So you kind of have to go up towards the exit over there. They come towards you, you run back, climb on that crate, and then sort of manage it that way to take out all the dogs. So I'm going to speed up this section. Just know there's a lot of dogs and they do a decent amount of damage, so you want to keep making sure that you're sort of running back if you need to heal or reload, climb on the platform, make them come towards you as much as possible, take them out, and repeat the process. Once you've taken out all the dogs, you can loot the containers in this room. There is one of these orange ones, so again, you might get lucky and get an ASD version of the armor. But the key thing in the next room that I want to explain before we get there is the next room is sort of a waiting game. You're going to call an elevator that comes down very, very slowly, and during that time there's going to be a lot of enemies spawning around you that are going to be fighting each other. Luckily there are two factions fighting each other, so all you really have to do is call this elevator and wait it out till the elevator comes down, and you gotta take it up. There are some orange containers in this room. You can try look for stuff if you want, like look, I got an ASD backpack, but since I already had one I didn't pick it up. At the end of the day, your goal here is just to survive until the elevator gets here. As soon as the elevator gets here, get inside and go up. These two factions will fight each other for the most part. As long as you ignore them, you should be okay. Alright, and now we're on our way to Site B. So that was a pretty difficult part. Once you get through it, you're pretty much done with this part of the research wing, and now we're making our way to Site B, which is actually where you get the Corbel armor, and I'll show you guys where to get some of that because I'm going to be picking it up myself along the way. So once you get out of the elevator, if you take a right, you're basically going all the way to the exit. So there is the elevator to the transit lobby, but again, we're not going that way. I just wanted to show you guys that. So to go to Site B, you're basically coming out of the elevator and taking a left. And you basically just jump down all the way through this area, and you should see an elevator that takes you to Site B. Once you take this elevator up, you're basically in Site B. When you get to the next room, there's going to be two enemies to take care of. Those are the only enemies on this floor. Once you take care of them, there is pretty sweet LMGs for you to loot with a lot of ammo. So here are the LMGs if you want to pick some up for yourself. And then as soon as we're done with this room, we're going to head down to a giant elevator. So this elevator right here is pretty important. It goes down very, very slowly. So you want to make sure you're filled up on ammo and ready to go, because as the elevator is going down, you're going to be shooting as many enemies as possible. And in the far distance, there will be some guys on machine guns as well that you want to take out. The easiest way to take them out is pretty much just shoot the red explosive containers next to them, but you will see me do that as we're going down. So again, as the elevator started going down, I'm starting to take out a lot of these enemies. I didn't personally handle this part the best, but at least I didn't die, but I did certainly make it pretty tough on myself. Once you've cleared the area, you can start looking for the armor set, and this is where you start getting the Corbel armor. The first piece is sort of behind the elevator in this orange container. You get the arms. The next container is sort of towards the back, so if you go to the side here, you will notice a fabricator. This one makes medical items for you, again, if you need any. But here's the next container behind the fence, and again, this one contains more arms for you if you want to grab an extra pair. So now this next area we're about to go to can become pretty challenging, and you have to be really, really careful, but basically this is where a sniper comes in extremely handy. So make sure you're all set with your magazines loaded and ready to go. So now this is like an elevator type platform. You can enable it if you want to, you really don't have to, it's totally up to you. You can jump over here and make sure you open this door from back here, especially if you're going to enable the elevator, because it'll go to the other side as you're moving. But the idea is, as this elevator is moving to the other side, you're kind of moving along with it and shooting down all the enemies. Now there are a lot of enemies on the opposite side, and you want to make sure that you're taking them out from a distance, at least as many as you can. And there is a guy on a machine gun as well. Once you feel like the area is clear, you can jump over these boxes and start to move towards the other side, but be careful, there are a lot of enemies that can come out. Sometimes these enemies already come out of the elevators by the time you're here and shooting. Other times they only come out of those elevators on the other end when you get closer to them, so just be mindful. Just because you don't see any enemies here doesn't mean there aren't any more. Once you think you're in the clear and all the enemies in this area are done, you're gonna go down this side in this entryway, and there could be guys right in front of you coming out of an elevator. Just take care of them. If you turn right over this area, you will get back to the elevator that takes you to the transit lobby. We don't want to take that, so we're gonna skip that. So now we're heading over to the left side. There's no enemies here, but this is where you get the next set of Corbel armor. So I do want to show you guys how to get to that quickly. So just checking to see that there's no enemies out here, but basically we're going to jump right down here, turn around and go down this small passage, which is going to take you to the next piece of Corbel armor. So there will be an orange container with the legs. Once you've grabbed the armor, we're going to head back out of this passageway and over to the other side of the platform. Now you do want to be mindful here. Sometimes there could be enemy automated turrets on the ceilings. They weren't there for my run, but just something you want to look out for. So now we're going to keep sticking to the left hand side and just making our way down this passageway until you get to this set of lasers. There are enemies behind this, quite a few of them, so just make sure you take out the enemies first before you take out the lasers and walk down that path. Now you walk down here, go up the stairs, and in the next room you want to be mindful, there are a lot of enemies. So we're going to stick to the left hand side here as we're taking out the enemies. Take out any enemies that you can see and follow the signs for the control room. Now in the next room is where you're going to get the next piece of Corbel armor, the core, and more importantly the code that you need for the next door. So the code is up on the screen to the left there, as you could see, and here is the core that you need to collect. So again, let's take a look at the code again, and we basically go straight to this door where you need to type in that code. And just to show you guys, here is the next container with the core, again in case you missed the last one or you're playing with a friend. Now we're going to continue down this passageway, and the next room is the last sort of big room with a load of enemies in there. So this is where you want to be careful, but basically move through it pretty slow. Make sure you're taking out all the enemies. There's going to be some enemies on machine guns that you really just want to be very careful with and take them out slowly. Basically, you're going to be clearing the rooms on this side and the other side as you're working your way downstairs. That's really the goal. You want to get downstairs. Now work your way down slowly, take out all the enemies. There are quite a few of them, so just again take it slow. There's really no rush at this point, and you really don't want to die at this point. So once you've taken out all the enemies, again you're following the signs for the control room, and once you get into the control room, you're basically in the final section with the last bit of enemies that you have to take down. So here we are. You're going to open this door, and this is really the last big room that you have to worry about. So the last three enemies are pretty well heavy armored guys. They're going to be coming out of that door over there. Really the approach of how you take them down is up to you, whether you want to hide or just stand here and mow them down. But those are the last three enemies before this mission is pretty much complete. And that's pretty much it. We're now going to work our way into the control room and execute the experiment to be completed with this contract. And just to show you guys, here's the final Corbel armor piece, which is the helmet. Just make sure you grab that. Then just head over down this passageway, take this ladder up, and once you're up, we can execute the experiment and be done with the mission. Once you've executed the experiment, you just basically have to click a final download on one of these terminals, and then you'll finally be done. So here the experiment is getting conducted right now. As soon as that is is done, you'll be able to just go ahead and hit download data, and your mission is finally complete, and you have now done Project Hyperion. You obviously get paid out for this mission, quite a hefty amount, and also have a chance at a blueprint. I got a Dynaflux blueprint this time. And finally, just loot the room, because you can get the Rantadung here, so just a good idea to make sure you're looting all the containers in this room before you head out. And to head out, basically you're just gonna jump over this gap here and then follow the signs to the exit, and then you can take the elevator to the transit lobby and you're done. Project Hyperion is complete at this point. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please do like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.